All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling frivolity. You guys gave us a really interesting source to work with. This Islamic scholar, Amjad Samir, and his YouTube series, You Must Be Freed.
Yeah, specifically, we're looking at a transcript from, I think it's the second episode.
Right, episode 2. And, it's fascinating how he approaches this whole idea of freedom from frivolity as like a spiritual thing.
Like a key to, to living a meaningful life, really.
Exactly. And he uses such strong imagery, too. I mean, we're talking ancient ruins, the pharaoh, even like...
He compares modern life to being on a runaway ship.
Yes, a runaway ship. But before we get too carried away with all that, let's back up a bit. How does Samir actually define this whole frivolity thing?
Well, he starts by kind of breaking down the actual Arabic word for frivolity.
Okay.
And he traces it back to its roots, like insignificant, lowly, even vile, which is, kind of harsh.
Yeah, strong words.
But you see how those original meanings, they kind of influence how we view frivolity today.
Right. Yeah, for sure. We think of it as trivial, unimportant, even a little distasteful sometimes.
Right. It's like, those activities that we all do, we know we're just wasting time, but we still get sucked in.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely guilty of that.
But Samir takes it even deeper. He uses Islamic scripture to kind of add another layer.
Okay.
For instance, he brings up a hadith.
And for those who maybe aren't familiar with that term, a hadith is like a saying or a tradition that's attributed to the Prophet Muhammad.
Exactly. Super important in Islam, for guidance on how to live a good life.
Yeah, definitely.
So Samir points out that in this particular hadith, the word frivolous is used to describe basically someone who talks about stuff they don't really understand.
Oh, interesting.
And then he connects that to like historical Islamic legal practices.
Okay.
Where frivolous matters, they wouldn't get super harsh punishments.
Interesting.
And he also ties frivolity to a verse in the Quran, which condemns people who focus on worldly stuff more than their spiritual duties.
So it's more than just wasting time, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like a spiritual obstacle.
A spiritual obstacle.
Samir's argument is that frivolity can actually stop us from living a truly meaningful life.
Wow.
There was this one analogy he used that really got me thinking.
Okay.
He compares modern society to, like, people on a ship.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all busy chatting away while the ship is sailing towards, who knows where.
They're just distracted. They've lost sight of the bigger picture.
Exactly. And I think that image, it really shows how urgent this whole thing is,
Yeah, makes you think.
Samir keeps saying we've got limited time, so, we really need to be careful how we spend it.
But that raises the question, right? If we know this, why are we so drawn to frivolous stuff? Why is it everywhere?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Samir has some really good ideas about why it's so appealing,
Like what?
One thing he says is that frivolity is often connected to comfort, ease. It's way easier to just give in to distractions than to actually do the hard work of, looking inward.
Self-reflection, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're stressed, you just grab your phone, right?
Mm.
Quick and easy way to avoid those tough feelings.
That's so true.
But like Samir says, that only fixes things for a little bit, doesn't solve the problem.
Right.
And then he also brings up this idea that there are, powerful forces out there that actually encourage frivolity.
What do you mean?
Like the influence of materialism, those in power, they benefit from keeping people distracted and compliant.
Whoa, that's kind of deep.
It is, right. It's not just about individual choices anymore. It's like bigger systems at play.
It really makes you think, yeah.
So we've got this enemy, frivolity, and these forces pushing us towards it.
It all sounds a bit overwhelming, honestly.
Yeah, it can feel that way. But Samir doesn't leave us hanging, He actually gives us some ways to break free.
Okay, I'm listening.
He starts by making this really important distinction between two types of frivolity. Frivolity in our conceptions and frivolity in our actions.
Now, I gotta be honest, that's where I got a little lost.
Yeah, I can see how that could be confusing.
Can you break that down for me?
Sure. So imagine someone who, really understands their purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
Their conceptions are free from frivolity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But their actions, they don't match up. That's frivolity in action.
So it's not enough to just know. You gotta actually live it.
Exactly. It's about, aligning your beliefs and your action.
Your thoughts and your deeds.
Exactly. And that's where Samir's next point comes in. The power of intention.
Okay.
He says that even totally normal everyday stuff can become acts of worship if you approach them with the right intention.
Oh, I love that. Like taking something ordinary and making it meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. And he gives some examples too.
Such as what?
Well, like earning a living to support your family,
Mhm.
that can be an act of devotion, right? Or choosing to be physically strong. If you do it with the intention of being like a better servant to a higher purpose,
Wow. Yeah. It's about how you approach it.
it really is. Just a small shift in your mindset can totally change how you see your everyday life.
It's not just going through the motions anymore.
Nope, it's about putting real meaning into those motions.
So does this mean we have to be serious all the time? Where's the fun?
That's a good point. And to be fair, Samir doesn't say you can't have any fun.
Okay.
He even mentions examples from Islamic history where the Prophet Muhammad relaxed and enjoyed himself.
So how do we tell the difference? Genuine fun versus frivolous stuff.
Well, Samir has these 3 questions he suggests you ask.
Lay 'em on me.
First, what's the purpose of what you're doing? What's your intention? Second, is it morally okay? And third, how much time are you spending on it?
That makes sense. It's not about never having fun, it's about balance.
That's it. Balance between leisure and purpose.
I like that.
It's about making sure your leisure activities fit with your values and goals.
So it's not really about what you're doing, but like how you're doing it.
Exactly. Let's say you like watching movies.
Okay.
You can use Samir's 3 questions. See if it's, frivolous or actually good recreation. Like, why are you watching? Are you trying to escape from something or, learn something new? Is the movie itself morally okay for you? And how much time are you spending on it? Is it balanced out with other things that are more, purposeful?
It's like checking in with yourself about your downtime.
Right. And this is where Samir's stuff about technology gets really interesting.
Especially smartphones, right? You mentioned before that he thinks they're a big part of why there's so much frivolity these days.
Yeah, it's something I've struggled with too, honestly. It's so easy to think you're in control of your phone.
Yeah.
But then it ends up controlling you.
Totally.
Notifications, updates, social media, it's like never ending.
It pulls you in so many directions.
And then it's hard to, focus on the things that matter.
Makes me think of that ship analogy again.
Oh, yeah.
Could smartphones be the distraction that's scaring us off course?
Wow, that's a really good question. And I think it's important to see how sneaky this kind of distraction is.
What do you mean?
It uses our desire for instant gratification, easy entertainment, that feeling of being connected, even if it's not real.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel so busy all the time that in the end, you just feel empty.
Exhausted but empty.
Exactly.
Yep,
and I
yeah.
think that's Samir's point, He's not saying technology is bad or that you have to completely ditch your phone.
Okay.
It's about being aware of how you're using it.
And whether it helps you live a better life.
Exactly.
So more about being intentional with your phone, not throwing it away.
Right. It's about boundaries,
Yeah.
making space to be quiet and think, and, prioritizing actual face-to-face time with people.
Be more mindful.
Yes. More present, more deliberate in your choices, both online and offline.
And that brings us back to Samir's main point. Freedom from frivolity isn't about giving stuff up or being restricted. It's about being free.
Yeah, reclaiming your time and energy for what really matters to you.
So how do we do that? What steps does he suggest?
He has 3 recommendations. First, seek guidance. For him, that means turning to God, but for others, it might be finding a mentor, a spiritual guide, or even a group of people who share your values.
Finding support, basically.
Support and inspiration, yeah.
Yeah.
His second recommendation is about who you hang out with.
Ah.
Choose your companions wisely, he says. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not drag you down.
That's so important. I've definitely seen how the people around me influence my choices.
It's about being careful about the energy you let into your life. And his last suggestion is to eliminate distractions.
Get rid of stuff.
Yeah, and this is where that smartphone stuff comes in again. Figure out what's making you frivolous, what's holding you back, and get rid of it.
So maybe set limits on social media, turn off notifications.
Create tech-free zones in your home. Even schedule time for just focused work or thinking.
Make a space that helps you live a more meaningful life.
Exactly.
It's about taking control, right? Of your choices and your attention.
Absolutely. We have more power than we think. And while Samir's coming from an Islamic perspective, I think his message goes beyond any specific religion.
Yeah, it's like a universal call to action.
Look at your life. see where you're being frivolous, and make choices to, get back on track with your values.
Your time and energy are precious.
You get to choose how you spend them.
Less frivolity, more meaning.
That's the goal.
It really makes you step back and think, look at the big picture.
Yeah, where are you putting your energy? Are you stuck in those distractions, or are you actually choosing, intentionally choosing to focus on what matters?
And it's not a one-time thing, right?
Oh, definitely not. It's a journey, like Samir says.
We're going to mess up, we'll get off track, but the important thing is to come back to those principles.
Guidance, good company, no distractions. And, it helps to remember that even small changes can be a big deal.
Small steps.
Yeah, like what if you started with just 15 minutes a day without your phone? Or being more careful about who you follow online.
It's not about being perfect, it's about making progress.
Exactly. It's like working out a muscle.
Oh, I like that.
The more you practice mindfulness, the stronger it gets, and the easier it is to resist all that frivolous stuff.
Makes sense.
And what I find so helpful about Samir's message is that he gives us the tools. It's not about feeling bad about the past. It's about using what you've learned to make better choices from now on.
It's like he's given us a map and a compass, and we get to choose where we go.
And the destination isn't way off in the future, It's about finding those meaningful moments right now.
Every day.
Yeah, finding joy in the small things, beauty around you, really connecting with people.
Using your talents to make a difference.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been, wow, really eye-opening. I feel like I have a much clearer idea of what I need to do.
That's great.
And for anyone listening, Samir's final message really stuck with me. Even with all the craziness and distractions in the world, we still have the power to choose how we live.
That's powerful.
So choose wisely.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Hope you guys got something out of it.
Maybe even feel inspired to make a few changes.
We always love hearing what you think, so connect with us online, share your thoughts with friends.
Keep the conversation going.
Until next time, keep diving deep.